of audio and video. I'd like to take a moment to share the disclaimer slide really quickly, so if you can just take a glance over that. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always drop them in the chat below. Great, thank you so much for your patience. Welcome everyone, my name is Melissa, and today I'll be guiding you through a all levels yoga practice for 45 minutes, and we're gonna focus on the legs and the hips tonight. So it'll be a really awesome practice. I know a lot of times, through the workday when I'm sitting down a lot, my legs get really fatigued and my hips get really tight, and then that makes my back cranky and my neck cranky. So this flow will be really awesome for just, getting the circulation flowing and moving, opening up those tight hips, and just releasing muscles that might be a little bit tight. So let's come on down to seated today. And as we start our practice, you may want to have your blocks close by. So with our yoga class tonight, we'll meet our yoga mat. And you may want to have a blanket or a block. Sometimes those are nice to have. If you don't have them, you can definitely do the practice, but they're just kind of a nice prop that will assist in the poses. And also a reminder to listen to your body. If any stretches are not working for you, you can always skip them. You can come on out and modify. So as we start today, we will just take a nice comfy seated position. Feel free to extend your legs out if that feels more comfortable. You can always sit on your props just to kind of lift the hips up a little bit to help elongate your spine, and that'll just help to open up the hips and relax the legs a little bit. But let's just give ourselves a moment here to close our eyes. Give yourself a moment to drop into your breath and your body. So as we gently settle in here, let's just bring our awareness to where the body is meeting the ground. The edges of the legs, the edges of the feet. Grounding through the sitting bones. Let's lengthen the spine, lengthen the back of the neck. Reach, stretch through the crown of the head. And then dropping in, connecting to the rise and the fall of the breath. And then lengthening as you inhale and lengthening as you exhale. And as you're breathing here for a moment, just noticing the 4 parts of the breath. We often think of the breath as just one part. So we'll just notice the inhale, the space to pause, the exhale, and the space to pause. And then noticing how each breath so freely flows one into the next. Without any thought, the breath moves seamlessly, the breath flows continuously, one into the next. Set an intention for your practice, and that could be anything. Intentions are just kind of a little goal or a desire that you'd like to get out of the class, and that could be anything from taking this time to practice self-care to pushing yourself in the poses to help you get the best stretch possible. Let's begin with a little bit of a release for the legs and the hips. We'll just kind of warm ourselves up. So to begin, bring your feet nice and wide. Maybe your feet will be at the edges of your yoga mat. And we're just going to do a little bit of a windshield wipe to the right and the left. We're just gently shifting to one side and then gently shifting to the other side. And as we go through the practice today, maybe just be really aware of your hips. So one thing that's very common, and it shows up in pretty much everybody, is that one hip is a lot tighter and one leg will be a lot more, tighter and more inflexible than the other. So just kind of notice your own body. Notice the similarities in the sides, notice the differences in the sides. Great, let's come back to center. We will extend our legs out in front of us, and we'll just start with a gentle hip opener. So this one is called a seated pigeon pose. You are gonna bring your left leg up and over, so we create a figure 4. And yeah, as you can see, it looks almost like the number 4. And we can just gently knee down. We will flex our foot just to activate the leg a little differently, get some muscles working. And feel free to stay here. If you wanted to give yourself more of a stretch, you can bend your right knee and you can just kind of draw your hips into the foot a bit. And we'll breathe here for a moment. So depending on your body, this could be a very passive stretch. You may feel like it's very easy. And for someone else, it might be very challenging. You may have to straighten the leg out just because it's just too much. So just know that wherever you are today in your body is exactly where you're supposed to be. And maybe just close the eyes here for a moment and just gently notice, where you feel the stretch. So you could feel this in your hips and in your legs. This could show up in your back. So anywhere that it is showing up for you, just put your breath to it. Know that it's not going to last forever. Good. Let's gently release that one. We are going to take our feet nice and wide, and we'll just gently rock to the right and to the left. And back to stillness and center. Legs can extend out in front of you. We will take our right leg up and over. Find your figure four stretch. Stay here. Maybe bend your knee. Draw your body in a little bit if you wanted. We'll breathe here for a moment. And this is where you can kind of check in and notice if the stretch feels very similar on this side of your body to the first side that we worked on. It may feel very similar. It may feel very different one side to the next side. Great. Let's begin to gently release that one. We are going to take our feet back to the edges of the mat. Knees are bent, drop to the right, and drop off towards the left. And as you come to stillness here, let's take the soles of the feet to touch. Knees will come away from one another, and then insides of the feet roll away. Almost imagine how a book kind of opens here. So just open up the feet a little bit. And feel free to kind of lift yourself up just to ground evenly in both sides of your body. And you can stay up here. Maybe you fold down a little bit. You can use the help of your arms to kind of draw your knees from one another. And you can also let yourself kind of float forward as well. Great. Let's bring ourselves back on up to a neutral spine. Help of the hands, we'll take our legs together, shake them out a little bit here, and let's meet down on our backs. We'll do a little flow for the legs here. So as you come down into your back, you are going to extend your right leg right on up to the sky. You can interlock your fingers and then gently support the back of your leg. So if you hold up the leg, that's great. And if you don't feel like holding on, you can also relax your arms along your body as well. Take a moment to point and flex your foot. And we're just going to breathe here. So as you're flowing with the breath, just noticing what muscles are working as you're doing this. This is going to be really good for your legs. It's going to help you open up your calf. It's going to help to get into your hamstring a little bit, help you to strengthen your quad as well. Begin to pause. Give yourself that moment. Press out through your toes. Breathe into the stretch for the top of your foot. Breathe into the stretch for your heel. Flex your foot. Press through your heel and the back of the knee. And then bring yourself into circles here. So maybe find large circles and maybe find smaller circles. And flow in the other direction. So just reverse that movement. And then gently releasing, let's take that right foot down. So right foot meets your left foot. And then as you ground into your right foot, left leg will extend to the sky. Take a moment to point and flex your foot. Do a little scan of your body here, just noticing where you're holding onto tension. And then with each exhale, try to let that tension go, let your body relax, let your body release into the stretch. Good. Take a moment to point your foot, really activate your legs, breathe into all of those muscles that are working here. Flex your foot, really activate your legs, press through the heel and the back of the knee. And then bring yourself into circles, maybe large and maybe small circles here. And flow in the other direction. And then let's take ourselves into stillness here, and we will reach for our feet. We'll take a happy baby stretch. So this is going to bring us into a nice hip opener. And for this one, you can flex your feet, press through your heels, maybe rock to the right, and then gently rock off to the left. Let's come to stillness on this one. We can take our knees to our chest. Let's roll on up to seated. And then as you take seated, extend your legs out nice and wide. So we can shift off to the side of the mat if that's needed. And try to get those legs as far away from one another as possible. You can always inch those heels out or use your hands to draw them a bit further from one another. Let's take a deep full breath here to lengthen. We are going to fold it down as you exhale, coming into a seated wide-legged fold. This is going to bring us into a nice hip opener and a really good stretch for your legs. Feel free to find stillness or movement. Sometimes a little rock around side to side can ease you into the stretch a bit better. Great. Let's take ourselves back to center. Hands can walk into the body, legs can come together, shake them out a little bit, and bring yourself into table from here. So as you come into table, if your knees are sensitive, maybe you want to grab a blanket. You can pad your knees. You can give yourself a little bit of support here. Let's begin to take our knees in line with our hips. We'll take our wrists in line with our shoulders, and then feel the fingers fan out wide. Take your right knee into fire hydrant and begin to create circles here. Try to ground evenly through both of your hands. So you may want to draw more weight into that right hand. Try to feel this evenness of your shoulders down to the mat. Flow in the other direction. We'll just reverse that movement. Good. Let's take our right foot. We're going to do a little gorilla kickoff to the right. So flex your foot. Try to lift that heel up a little bit higher. We will lower our foot down. Engage your core to come on up, and hands will reach to the sky as you inhale. Hands at your heart space as you exhale. Let's go 4 more times total. Good. As you bring your hands down, let's take our right hand on our right hip. We'll bring our left arm up and over, coming into a variation of Shavasana. And this is that really nice side stretch in our body. Let's come back to center. We're going to bring our left hand down, right hand rises, coming into a nice hip opener here. So let's try to stack our hips and to stack our shoulders open. Stay right where you are. Maybe lift your foot up. You can also bring your hand for your foot if you'd like to take a bind. We'll just come into a little bind here if that works for you. And your bind is going to give you a really nice quad stretch and helping you to get into the front of the hip a little bit. We have our hip flexor, we have our psoas there. It's going to give you a great little stretch. Yeah, I'm going to take our foot down, core engages. Let's come on up, hands to the top of your yoga mat. Right foot will sweep to the left, land in a C curve for the spine. Maybe walk your hands off towards the left. Gaze off your left shoulder and just breathe here into that side stretch. Coming back to neutral, let's do a reset back through the tabletop. Lower your stomach down. We will lift up through the heart. Tailbone will lower and crown of the head will lower. Flow through cat and dog stretch for a moment. Lengthen your spine as you inhale. Lengthen your spine as you exhale. As you inhale, let your shoulders relax from your ears. We'll create that space between the ears and the shoulders. Feel the shoulder blades moving down your back. And on the exhale, round your back. So imagine creating space between the shoulder blades. Coming into a neutral spine, let's bring our left knee into that fire hydrant stretch, and we will create our circles. Find your movement. And flow in the other direction. Good. Let's take our left foot to the left. Take your gorilla kick. Flex your foot. Press your heel back of the knee. Lower your foot down. Core engages to come on up. Hands to the sky. Breathe in. Hands at your heart. Breathe out. Let's circle in the other direction from here. So we'll take our fingertips to the sky and arms will sweep out and around. And then gently releasing, let's bring our left hand onto our left hip. We'll take our right hand up and over. Find that side stretch. Breathe deeply, expand your lungs, and expand through your ribs. And back to center, core engages. Let's take that right hand down, left hand rises up. You can stay here, maybe lift your leg up, or maybe your hand for the foot. So as I was saying on the other side, these are our hip flexor and our psoas muscles. And when we're sitting through the day, they tend to shorten quite a bit. So it's always important to give a little bit of a stretch here to try to create some balance in the front of the body and the back of the body. Because when we have imbalanced bodies, that's when those injuries and aches and pains and things like that show up. We're going to release that leg down. Core engages to come on up. Bring your hands to the top of your mat and left foot to the right. We'll land in our C curve. And gaze off those right fingertips, gaze to your right toes, and maybe walk your hands to the right a little bit. Great, let's come back to center. We'll do a reset back into our table, and let's try child's pose. This is a wonderful hip opener. So for this variation of child's pose, you are gonna take your big toes together and then draw your knees far from one another. So you're gonna have all the space to kind of fold forward, which will be great. So let's take a nice full breath to lengthen. We're going to let ourselves fold down as you exhale. And then as you're folding here, just letting your eyes close. Try to feel your hips lower down to the heels as you exhale, and let your heart lower down towards the ground as you exhale as well. Let's take a nice breath here. As you exhale, come into a downward facing dog. Toes will curl under. Sitting bones to the sky and shake it out a little bit here. Let's bend one knee and the other knee. Relax your head yes and relax your head no. So this one is a wonderful stretch for your hamstrings. Wonderful stretch for your calf. Let's take ourselves to a fold at the top of your mat. So twist the hands, come on forward and shake it out here as well. Maybe bending one knee and the other. Relax your head yes and relax your head no. Take a half shift here. We will lift our spine and lengthen our spine. Fold yourself down. Let's come on up. We're going to take a mountain pose as you inhale. And hands at your heart space as you exhale. Let's come into tree pose. We'll lift that right leg up. So for tree, you can have your toes on the ground. You may want to lift your leg up. You can bring it anywhere on the leg that feels comfortable, but we just don't want to place our foot right onto the knee joint. And you can take your hands up to the sky as well. So on this pose, maybe try to roll this right knee back a little bit. So you get this hip opener, and it's going to help to open up your low back a little bit, and you get a good stretch for the inner legs here. So find that one spot to focus. We call that a drishti in yoga. One spot to focus, concentration, and awareness. And that's really important when we take our balanced poses, because if we're looking all over the place, it can just be very challenging to balance. Let's come to a standing split pose from here. So from standing split, you will engage your core, hinge at your hips, pull them down, and take your right leg right on up to the sky. And gaze to the wall behind you. Maybe take your gaze to the ceiling, up behind the body. A lot of times if you relax the gaze, it can just help you move deeper into that leg and hip stretch. Let's send ourselves to a runner's lunge. Begin to bend and straighten your front leg. And as you're flowing here, just feel yourself moving with your breath. As you exhale, feel your legs straightening. As you inhale, feel the knee bending. Hands can be on blocks if you wanted, and you can also lower that right knee down to the mat if you'd like as well. Let's take a moment here. We will straighten the front leg. Try to relax your head and relax your neck. To release this pose, let's come on forward into a fold with our legs crossed. You'll just take your right foot to the upper left edge of your mat. Line your toes up, line your heels up, and then fold over the fronts of the legs as you exhale. Maybe draw your weight forward into your toes, send your weight back into your heels. Maybe shift your weight to the right, and then shift your weight off towards the left. Let's gently unwrap the legs. We're going to land ourselves back to a fold. Maybe shake out the legs here. Take a half lift. Fold yourself down. Let's come on up. We'll rise for mountain pose. Hands at your heart space as you exhale. Last foot rises when you're ready. Let's come into tree on the other side. So as you align here, try to feel really grounded through all the parts of your right foot. Press through the inside, through the outside, and notice your body's natural tendency. If you tend to roll in, maybe tend to roll to the outside of your standing foot. From here, let's try out that standing split pose. So you will just hinge at your hips, fold yourself down towards the mat, hands on the ground, and legs to the sky. Try to relax your head and neck as best as you can. With your exhale, let's take our knee into our nose. And then we're just going to gently send that leg back, float it into your runner's lunge, and then bend and straighten your front leg. Modify here if you'd like. This one is really good for your calves, getting into your hamstrings, and this is going to be really great for your hips. Let's straighten the front leg. Give yourself that fold forward. Come into a variation of a runner stretch. Let your spine relax. Try to relax the back of your head and relax the back of your neck. Coming forward, let's land in that fold with our legs crossed. So you'll take your left foot to the upper right edge of your mat. Line your toes up, line your heels up, fold over the fronts of the legs as you exhale. Maybe shifting the weight around in the feet. Try to get grounded here. Unwrap your legs, feet in line with your hips, and shake out the legs here. Take stillness. We'll find our half lift. Fold yourself to the mat. Let's come on up. We'll rise for mountain pose as you inhale. Try your hands at your heart space as you exhale. Let's try out eagle. That one's really good for the legs as well. So for eagle, right leg comes up and over. We're going to do a wrap with our legs. You can have your toes on the ground, maybe lift your leg for a half wrap. And you can also try out for the full wrap if you wanted. You could try to wrap your leg all the way around. The right arm comes under, so feel free to reach for opposite shoulders. Backs of hands come together. Maybe arms wrapped and hands wrapped. And imagine if you could see yourself in a mirror. Try to create a line that flows from your toes to your knees, to your elbows, and to your fingertips. If you would like a more challenging stretch, bring your elbows down to your knees. Take eagle to the neck. Engage your core. Let's float ourselves back on up. And from here, we're going to unwrap arms and legs, coming into a warrior two pose. So we'll take our right foot back and then line that left heel up with the back arch. Hands reach forward and back, shoulders over your hips. Let's try to ground really firmly to the feet. Almost imagine that you could pull your feet in towards one another. We'll come into reverse warrior two pose. Float your front hand up and back. Try to keep that deep bend in your front knee. Just notice your body's natural tendency if you tend to straighten that front leg. Core engages, take it back on through for warrior two, land in lateral angle. And maybe hand comes down for extended lateral angle. Move into a little bit of a deeper hip stretch here. Core engages, let's take ourselves back on through. Reset to warrior two. Release the arms, do a reset on the legs. And then turn your left foot in so that it lines up with your right foot. So we'll have our toes in line, heels in line. Lengthen and fold yourself down. Let's take a wide-legged forward fold and shake out the legs here. Maybe bend one knee, then the other knee, and maybe relax your head yes, and relax your head no. As you find stillness, walk your hands out in front, finding that down dog with your legs wide. Draw your weight back into your heels. Hands are light, almost feeling like hands could lift from the mat a little bit. And then walking your hands into your body. Let's take those hands right underneath the body, coming into a fold that's a little deeper. So you can just walk your hands underneath you and your weight forward into your toes. Let your heels be light. Inhale and exhale. Let's gently release that. We're going to walk our hands to frame our front foot. Let's take a runner's lunge. Take your left foot to the left edge of your mat. Both hands on the inside of your foot. And we're going to try out lizard and gecko. So this one is a really good hip opener. I always feel a really great stretch in this one. So if you want to make it a little easier, you can lower your right knee down onto the mat for support. So whether your knee is up or down, you can stay down on your hands. You can drop down onto your forearms, and you can also take your forearms onto blocks here. We are just going to try to settle in this one. So we want to relax our eyebrows, relax your jaw. Relax the back of your head and the back of your neck. Try to relax the shoulders, the arms, and the hands. Relaxing the upper, mid, and low back. Relaxing the legs and relaxing the feet of any tension. Good. Let's bring our hands down onto the mat. We are going to curl those right toes under and then take your right foot and make a big step forward to the upper right edge of the mat. So landing in a fold with your legs a bit wider. Feel free to stay here. You may want to try out Yogi squat pose. So for Yogi squat, sometimes the wider the feet, the easier the stretch can be. Have your toes turned out, heels shift in. Send your weight back into your heels. Let your toes be a little lighter. And then almost having this feeling like the toes could roll from the mat and lift up from the mat. Let's come on back into our fold. Feet in line with your hips. Take a half lift here. Fold yourself down. Let's rise for mountain on the in-breath. Round like a heart space on the out-breath. Let's take that left leg up and over. We'll try eagle on the other side. So toes on the ground, lifted for half wrap, try for full wrap. Left arm comes under. Maybe doing a little scan here of your body and noticing where you're holding on to tension. And then with each exhale, try to let that tension go. Stay here, maybe eagle to the mat. You can drop those knees or those elbows down to the knees. Core engages to come on up. And we're going to unwrap arms and legs for warrior two. So you're just going to float one foot back. And then as you settle here on warrior two, find that nice comfy gaze off your right fingertips. And it can take time for your body to open, but in time, try to feel that your hips are squaring off to the left side of the room. Also, your shoulders are squaring to the left side of the room, and that the hips are even. Sometimes this hip will kind of dip down. So as we square off to the side, it's just going to really help to open up the hips and open up the low back. Let's try reverse warrior two. Float that front hand up and back. Back hand can glide down your back leg. Maybe wrap your arm around your low back. Reach for the other hip crease. Come on through, back into warrior two. Take it down to a lateral angle. And extended lateral angle. You can lower your hand down to the mat. Let's take ourselves back and up. We'll do our reset to warrior two. And then from here, we're going to float ourselves into that wide-legged fold. So you can just straighten out your legs. Toes will turn in. Lengthen and fold yourself down as you exhale. Hands come down onto the mat. Shake it out here. Bend one knee and bend the other knee. As you find stillness, let's try to reach for the heels. So if you can't reach for your feet, you're just going to walk your hands towards your feet. But if you can reach for the feet, grab on and then give a little pull. I almost think of a sensation like you could pull your body in between the legs. So just pulling down, using that arm strength, using that shoulder strength. Let's gently release that. We're going to float our hands to frame our front foot. Land in your runner's lunge. Take your right foot off to the right edge of the mat. Both hands to the inside of your foot. And then lizard and gecko on the other side. So as we settle here, lower your back knee down if you'd like. Maybe come down onto the forearms. Maybe bring your forearms on blocks. And then just trying to melt yourself into the pose. Try to release any stuck tension in the hips. I know this is a pretty active stretch, but just try to find softness in the pose and relax as best as you can. Try to relax your shoulders, relax your eyebrows. Good. Let's begin to press up onto our hands. We will curl our toes under. Left foot takes that big step forward to the upper left edge of the mat, landing in a fold with your legs wide. And staying here, option to try out our squat pose. Toes turn out, heels shift in. Weight back into the heels. Toes are light. And release. Let's split ourselves into our forward fold. Try to draw your feet in line with your hips on this one. We're going to plant those hands, come on back to plank, take a high push-up pose, and lower all the way down to the mat. So we'll do a reverse push-up to land down on the ground. Right hand for your right foot. Let's try a quad stretch. So you'll bend your right knee, try to pull your foot into your body. I know that this can be challenging to reach your foot. So if you have a yoga strap close by or a rope or a tie or something like that, just to kind of loop around the foot and pull it in, a towel, you can definitely do that. And if you don't have it, you can just have that knee bent and just encourage your foot into your body a bit. So this one is going to help to open up our quads. So when we are at the desk, when we're driving, maybe watching TV, our quads, they tend to shorten, those hip flexors and psoas shorten. And that's when we can have a little bit of back pain, things like that. So this one is good for giving a stretch to the front of your leg and just really trying to create a little bit more balance in the front of your body and in the back of your body. And gently release your foot. And let's take our left hand for our left foot. Great. Let's begin to release that side. We will press it up into tabletop. And from table, you can scoop your feet to the right or the left. We'll come to seated. And then as you come down into seated, let's bring ourselves down onto our back. Reach for your feet. Take a happy baby stretch. Flex your feet. Reach through your heels. Maybe rock side to side. Maybe finding stillness here. And we will work with a nice leg stretch. Let's bring our feet to the edges of our mat. Knees are bent, and a gentle rock to the right and a gentle rock of the knees to the left. So we will come into a nice T-band stretch. So on this one, a lot of times we think of it as a spinal twist, but it's a little bit different. So drop your knees off to the right. Pick your right foot up and hook your right foot on your left knee. And then just let your knees drop off to the right. And you can feel yourself on the inside of your left foot. And then let this leg kind of anchor that knee. So we get a good IT band stretch. We get this nice stretch into the hip and into the waist and into the side of the body. And release that one. We can bring our feet back to the edges of the mat. Knees are bent. Rock to the right and rock to the left. Releasing off towards the left when you're ready. Your left foot can hook on your right knee, and we'll just feel those knees dropping to the left. Maybe gaze off your right shoulder. Give yourself a little twist here in the neck. And let your eyes close. Let your mind be clear of thoughts. We always have thoughts moving through the mind, thoughts for the past, thoughts for the future. Try to release your thoughts. Bring your awareness to the breath. Bring the awareness to the present moment. And then remembering the present moment, the only moment where life truly exists. Let's gently release that one. Feet back to the edges of mat, knees are bent. Drop to the right and drop to the left. As you come to stillness here, let's bring our knees into our chest. You can hug them in, and we will take a little gentle rock to the right and to the left. And bring that rocking movement into circles. So find large circles, maybe find smaller circles. And then flow in the other direction. And then releasing, we will come into Shavasana. We'll take some time for relaxation. So if you would like, maybe relax your arms and relax your legs along the mat. If your low back is sensitive at all, a little cranky, you can take your feet to the edges of your mat, let your knees drop in towards one another, maybe do a little tuck of your tailbone to get some grounding in your mid back. And just let your eyes close here. They say that Shavasana is the most important pose of our yoga practice, that it gives us an opportunity to integrate all of the benefits into the mind, into the body. Letting the breath deepen, maybe wiggle fingers and toes. Gently draw your awareness back to your body, back into the moment. Take yourself to your side. Let's come to fetal pose. Gently support your head and just feel your body take the shape of the pose. Coming up, let's land in a seated position. And you can sit in any way that feels comfortable for your body. Maybe draw your hands into the parad heart space for Anjali Mudra. Letting your eyes close. Thanking yourself for practicing yoga today. For doing something so good for your mind, body, and spirit. The light within me honors the light within you. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. It's really great to have you here. I hope everyone's legs and hips are feeling a little bit better. I definitely do. And I can definitely notice that my back is feeling a lot better. It was a little cranky earlier, but I always notice when I do a nice flow from my legs and my hips that my back feels a lot better as well. So I hope you guys feel great, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
Hey, thanks, Melissa.
You're welcome, Dave.